some steam here during the draft season. Strong build, he can run, plenty of arm strength, as you heard Mel say there. Here's his head coach from Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, today on how Dart fits in the NFL.
Novice media are like, well, this Lane Kiffin offense is so quarterback friendly, it's easy. Like, can he translate from a mental standpoint to the next level? I've talked to Jackson. I know what he's like between the ears, but what is he and how overlooked maybe is that aspect of his game?
Well, I think that I don't know why that would be a negative at all.
I don't either.
Playing in the system, I think it's really complicated what he does and how much stuff he does at the line of scrimmage and changes things and protection. So I think it's very NFL friendly that way, and I think the transition will be easy for him.
What do you think the best fit for him is at the next level?
I don't know that. I think that he can fit in anywhere. I think that he can do everything, and he can also, wherever it is, he can go into that culture, into that locker room and win them over.
Yeah, Matt, we have so much movement regarding Dart. I mean, Mel Kiper has him going top 10 to the Saints. You have him much closer to the bottom of the first round. Where do you think the best fit is?
Yeah, I still think the best fit is the Los Angeles Rams at number 26 overall, where I had him in the mock drafts. Of course, I'm going to defend my own mock draft here, right? But I do think he needs a year to sit. And I know Lane's going to come out and say all the right things about he could fit in anywhere. And he could, but I do think this offense at Ole Miss, it's a lot of RPO. It's a lot of one read and go. And that's okay. They won a ton of football games that way. But I think the acclimation period to the NFL is going to be something where it'd be great for him to sit a year behind Matthew Stafford, get caught up on the speed of the game. And it would be a lot like when the Green Bay Packers drafted Jordan Love behind Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that's not your plan or your biggest need, but the value is there and you start thinking long term, how does that work out? Now, does he make it to 26? I don't know, because there's so many teams that need quarterbacks, and by all accounts, he's killing it in the pre-draft process. But I think that's the best true fit for the longevity of his career and him having some early success.
Yeah, I want to be clear here in case there was any delay. My top 10, that was my reaction of going, what? Was to hearing Mel had him in the top 10. That was truly shocking to me. I hadn't seen that yet. Look, there are traits that I think explain why there is interest, first-round interest. He has a live arm, for starters. He can make throws to all parts of the field. It's definitely NFL caliber in terms of the talent there. And then he's a really good athlete. That's something that jumped out to me watching the tape, is his scrambling ability, running through the teeth of the defense, some toughness on display there as well. So I can see why, again, teams would be interested in that. That said, I'm in agreement with Matt that I really think the best fit for him is anywhere where he can sit for a year. Respectfully, Lane Kiffin is not right in saying that his offense translates to the NFL. It is nothing like an NFL offense. Yeah. When you watch him, it's almost all RPOs and play action. We've seen this with quarterbacks before. Matt Corral comes to mind. He has a lot to learn. Decision-making, feel for pressure. So I would love for him, Dart, not to end up with a team like the Rams where he can sit for a year, because I do think it would help him a great deal.
A lot of teams above the Rams, though, with a quarterback need. We have the Steelers, RC, sitting there at 21. Right now, Mason Rudolph's their only quarterback. They're still waiting on Aaron Rodgers. What are your thoughts about how this whole quarterback process is going for Pittsburgh?
It makes my stomach hurt. Yeah. I know that. But I want them to be smart. Right, you are backed into a corner, but you've been in quarterback purgatory since Big Ben's last couple of years in the NFL. They never lose enough games to draft high enough to get one of the elite quarterbacks that are up each and every draft. And while you went and got Kenny Pickett a few years ago at 20, don't do the same thing expecting to have a franchise guy the day he walks in to the building. But now waiting on a guy like Aaron Rodgers has put you in a bad situation. You know that Mason Rudolph is not the franchise quarterback of the future. And behind Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, who there are question marks about, we don't know that Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe or any of those guys can eventually mature into being that as well. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are in a very tough position. But what I do believe is if they stay at 21 and draft any of these quarterbacks who will still be available, they will not have drafted a day one starter.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm with you. It is a difficult spot. The Pittsburgh Steelers, from what I keep hearing, are willing to wait on Aaron Rodgers. And if they have to wait for multiple weeks leading up to the draft, they will do so. They're still optimistic of their chances. Other people that have been in the quarterback market believe that maybe they have a wink-wink deal set up with Rodgers just because of the way that everything has played out and whether Rodgers goes to the Steelers or flirts with retirement. But the Steelers have done a lot of work on the draft-eligible quarterbacks this year. The feeling I get around the league is that whether it's this year or next year, they'll take one pretty high. And I don't want to oversell a team doing dinner with a player, but the Steelers do have a habit of drafting players they have dinner with. And so when they met with Alabama's Jalen Milroe, who's considered a high-end, project, if you could sit him for a couple years and he can learn an NFL offense and you can tailor things around him, he could be really good because of the upside. They did have dinner with Milroe, so maybe like a day 2 prospect, they could pull the trigger on a quarterback.
I'll be quick here. I'm going to say the same thing about the Steelers that I have said in the past to female friends. If you have a wink-wink handshake deal with a man, but he's not willing to go public with you, he is not your man. And I do not love the fact that they're just sitting there waiting for Aaron Rodgers. Ryan, like what is happening here?
What are we doing here?
Listen, it makes me sick, right? Like, we're sitting around like Aaron Rodgers is the Bachelor, and we're like, oh my gosh, please give me the final rose. That's not the way the Pittsburgh Steelers has ever worked, ever in the history of football. But I will say this to Jeremy Fowler. Coach Tomlin loves dinner. Coach Tomlin enjoys having dinner with these players so he can sit around and chop it up. And so if we're going to sit here and say the quarterbacks that Mike Tomlin has dinner with are the guys he's going to pick, then he's going to take Riley Leonard, too, because he went to dinner with all of the Notre Dame guys as well.
There you go, Riley Leonard. I love it. Did he have dinner with Aaron Rodgers? Did he have dinner with Tyler Shugg? Is he done having dinner? It really is like The Bachelor, isn't it?
Ain't nothing wrong with liking to eat. Hey, we talking about dating. Sometimes you got to take as many shots as you can and just hope to hit one.
Yeah, it's like quarterback Bachelor. It really is. I love it. We're going on multiple dates. Steelers quarterbacks ranked 24th in total QBR over the last 2 seasons. Just gonna put a bow on that. All right, new on NFL Live. Colorado has signed Deion Sanders to a 5-year, $54 million contract extension that runs through the 2029 season. Highest paid football coach in the Big 12, among the top 10 highest paid head football coaches in the country. It's an unbelievable story. RC, so his buyout is $12 million this year. It's $10 million next year. It kind of drops from there on a sliding scale. What do you think about this deal for Deion?
Listen, I think it's smart for the Colorado Buffaloes. Deion Sanders hasn't just changed the football program at Colorado. He's changed the school. He's changed the incitement in attending the school. All of y'all know this, bro. People want to come to LSU because they want to go to football games. Now, they're going to get an education, but it's like I say all the time, Education is first and football is second. And you see the number 1 is when I said football. And that's exactly what Colorado is doing. They're making sure that program continues to move in the right direction and that Deion Sanders is secure. So now those guys that he's recruiting expect him to be there coaching that team for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, obviously that's critical. But we've heard, flirtations with the NFL. Jeremy, is there any there?
This always felt like the expected outcome with Deion Sanders because a lot of people I've talked to around the league weren't necessarily buying the NFL smoke, that the Dallas Cowboys situation wasn't quite real. The best fit for him was probably the Las Vegas Raiders, but they pivoted to Pete Carroll pretty early in the process. And so, his skill set and his ways of motivating young athletes is so good and tailored for the college game. Not that it can't work in the NFL game by any stretch, but it just seemed like he's such a good fit for Colorado right now that at least around the league, that was the expected outcome.
Yeah, I love what he says. I'm blessed, not stressed. All right. Now, I know it's so good, isn't it? In case you missed it this week, earlier, RC tweeted this. Hopped on a plane this morning, and the flight attendants were so nice. One ran up to me and told me she was a big fan. She took a pic. And then the other flight attendant, too. I thought, man, this is dope. The questions she asked, though, they just weren't adding up. It turns out they thought I was Dwayne Wade. And then Booker McFarland quickly replies, shortest D Wade ever, LOL. I mean, RC, I think that's a compliment. Someone thinks you're D Wade?
Well, you know, when I got on the plane, though, like, I've never had someone run down the aisle at me. So it was immediately fishy. And then when she told me she was a Dallas Cowboy fan, I was like, this woman has zero idea who I am. And it turned out she thought I was D-Wade. I said he was like 5 inches taller, but at least it wasn't anybody who was unattractive. And I will say this, once she figured out who I was, the first thing she tells me is this: I think Mina Kimes is amazing. And I said, you know what, ma'am? You are absolutely right. So at least I'm good by my association with MK.
Oh, my goodness. Comparing you to D-Wade is a compliment. It is a compliment. He is obviously a very good-looking man. It is kind of like, though, in draft season when every tight end is Travis Kelce and every quarterback is the next Patrick Mahomes. I feel like just doing one of those
Very similar.
comps.
I'm just envisioning RC with the number 3 Heat jersey, shaking it like this in front of the crowd.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, the thing is this, though. As long as she thinks I look like the real D-Wade and not the statue they put up in Miami. Because I won't be that dude.
Because the statue kind of looks like Lawrence Fishburne, I'm just saying. All right. Still ahead. Trades are always on.